Hello and welcome to another episode of the Better in Business podcast. I'm Jennifer Vanderwell, stepping in for Jeannie Savage as your co-host. In the last episode, we introduced the idea that getting things done doesn't start with action, it starts with mindset. And we talked about how most people jump straight into mechanics, the tools, the systems, the doing, and that's why it doesn't stick. Today, we're taking that a step further because mindset isn't just a concept. It shows up in very real patterns of thinking that directly impact how you run your business. And these patterns, if left unchecked, will quietly limit your results. Inside the Blueprint book, Jeannie breaks this down into 5 key mindset hurdles. Now, before we go into them, I really want to make something clear. These are not flaws, they are thought habits. And every business owner will experience them at some point. The difference is not whether they exist, it's whether you choose to recognize them or whether they continue to drive your decisions without you even realizing it. I also want to anchor this back into my own experience. When I first took over my business, I was experiencing every single one of these hurdles. They weren't obvious at the time, but they really were there, and they were constantly creating blockages in the way that I showed up and in my potential. So I was supporting my clients and watching their businesses flourish, which is my heart center. I love seeing their success. But at the same time, I felt guilt around charging the industry standard rates for my services. So what did this look like? Undercharging, overworking, second-guessing decisions, holding back on decisions. And all of these weren't a system issue, they were a mindset issue. So as I started to work through this with Jeannie and then Amy and really addressing each of these thought patterns, that's when things really started to shift for me. I moved from seeing a lack to seeing abundance, from feeling like I was competing to recognizing opportunity, from being too busy to actually noticing what was in front of me. I was showing up differently. And because of that, I was able to support my team better. I was able to support my clients better. I was able to make decisions in my business that I'd been avoiding or hesitating up until this point. The key really came down to one thing. I took complete ownership and accountability for my thinking. And once I started doing the work in this area, the results didn't just show up in my business, they flowed into every area of my life.
You've tuned into the Better in Business podcast, and I'm your host, Jeannie Savage. I'm a multi-award winning business veteran and head of the Strategic Bookkeeper Network. My network of strategic bookkeepers is dedicated to helping entrepreneurs do better in business. This podcast aims to challenge your thinking. If you're not thinking the right way, how can you act the right way? Each episode will dive into key drivers of success, which I also call the rules of the game. Learn the rules and play to win. Let's go. I like to start every episode by reminding you that it is globally recognized that pillar number 1 for success is up-to-date, accurate bookkeeping, which is the only way you can see how your business is performing in terms of profit and cash. If your books aren't right up to date, visit betterinbusiness.global, drop me a line and I'll connect you with a certified strategic bookkeeper. Fire your bookkeeper and hire a strategic bookkeeper. Bookkeeping is a cost, whereas strategic bookkeeping is an investment that averages a 10x return on the fees.
Let's break down our hurdles. So our first hurdle is shame and followed by self-sabotage. So the shame is the gremlin that sits on your shoulder, the voice that says to you, I should be further along. I should have figured this out already. I've made these mistakes before. What follows this voice is the self-sabotage. avoiding the decisions, delaying the action, not following through. Because if you don't act, you don't have to face the potential outcome. Here's the reality. Shame doesn't drive improvement. It drives avoidance. And avoidance is keeping you stuck exactly where you are. The second hurdle is comparison. And this one is a constant in business. It's when you're looking at others and thinking, why are they so ahead of me? They've got all this so figured out. I should just do what they're doing. The problem with this is the moment you start comparing, you stop making decisions based on your business and your reality of where your business is currently at. Instead, you start reacting, and this leads to overcomplicating things or chasing strategies that don't fit, losing confidence in your own direction. Number 3 is what we call a fail mindset or playing the short game. This is where decisions are made to avoid discomfort now instead of focusing on building something sustainable long term. It can sound like, I'll just leave this as it is. I'll deal with that later. This is easier for now, but with every short-term decision, you create a compound. They compound on each other. So over time, what it actually is creating is the very thing you're working to change, which is the undercharging, the overworking, the lack of structure, and the inconsistent results. Our number 4 is fear, doubt, and indecision. This is where your momentum stops. You know exactly what needs to be done, but somehow you just don't or can't act. And often this comes down to the what ifs. What if this doesn't work? What if I get this wrong? Or what if there's pushback? So instead, you get stuck in thinking mode, or you delay, or you keep yourself busy doing other, often less important things. But here's the truth that this hurdle really avoids. Indecision is still a decision. And again, it's just keeping you exactly where you are. The final hurdle that I want to talk about and is outlined in Jeannie's book is insecurity. So this is not fully backing yourself, not recognizing your value, not trusting your experience. And when this is present, what it looks like is hesitation, again, undercharging, or over-delivering to compensate, or you avoid stepping into leadership. And this is also where everything ties together, because if you don't believe in your value, there is no way for you to operate from it. When you now step back and you look at these 5 hurdles, you start to understand and see that they're not all that separate, that they often feed into each other. And you start to see how they shape your decisions, your behavior, and even your results. This is why mindset is step 1. Because if these patterns are running in the background, then you know that no productivity system, no workflow, no tool will fix it. More than likely, you've already tried these solutions. So for this month, we're going to be taking your awareness further. You've already started to recognize your value from episode 1. If you haven't listened to and worked on the checklist from episode 1, highly encourage you to go back and start there. Each of these episodes is designed to stack and compound on the one previous. For episode 2, we're now identifying what's getting in the way of you operating from that value consistently. I've created another simple checklist for you to work through this month. You can download it from the show notes, but the main focus is going to be this. I want you to work on identifying where these patterns show up for you in your business. Understand the impact that they are having and to start challenging them not by fixing everything at once, but by noticing them when they appear and noticing them early enough that you can make a different choice. Because the awareness of noticing them when they appear is actually where the change begins. Please also know that you are going to often notice them after they happen. Over time, that awareness will shift to you noticing them at the time that you make the decision. And then eventually you'll get to the point where you have the awareness first and have the time or choice of either making a different decision or preventing the indecision from happening at all. So these 5 mindset hurdles are always there in some form. You aren't going to get rid of these. The difference is going to be whether you let them run your business or whether you start recognizing them, building that awareness, and then ultimately choosing differently. In the next episode, we're moving into productivity. And we're going to break down why most productivity coaches don't work and then what does. Because once our mindset shift starts, that's also when your productivity can actually support you instead of creating overwhelm for you. And again, this is exactly where the strategic bookkeepers are trained to support, not just in the numbers, but in how you think, decide, act in your business. So if this conversation around mindset is resonating with you and you want to go deeper, Jeannie highly recommends the work of Brené Brown alongside the Bookkeeping Practice Blueprint book, because this isn't surface level thinking. It's about understanding the patterns and behaviors that sit underneath your actions. And I've also done a lot of work on this personally with my habit coach, Amy Kemp, who we interviewed back in episode 72. And that's where a lot of this deeper behavioral awareness really started to land with me, because awareness without action doesn't create any change. You need to be able to recognize the pattern and then to shift how you respond to it. This is also where strategic bookkeepers are different. They're not just focused on the numbers, they're trained to support you and support this level of thinking, accountability, and decision-making with their clients. If you are not currently getting that level of support in your business, that's something worth exploring. And of course, this is a work that I do with my clients, supporting them not just in their numbers, but in how they think, how they show up, and how they make the decisions in their business. I want to thank you all for joining me today, and I'll see you in the next episode.
I hope you enjoyed that episode as much as I enjoyed recording it. I would love to help you start doing better in business right now by giving you a free little ebook. It's a how-to guide. It's called The 7 Deadly Cash Flow Sins. And also I've developed a business health check for you. It's super high value. Both are available at betterinbusiness.global. If you would like to fire your bookkeeper and hire a strategic bookkeeper to start enjoying a return on investment and get the support you need to optimize your business cash and profit and time well, simply visit betterinbusiness.global, drop me a line and I'll connect you with a certified strategic bookkeeper near you. I'll see you in the next episode.